everyone, today I'm going to be doing a little tutorial on how to change a sock like this one into a jumper stroke short dress for your doll. This is a Moxie teen doll and this sock fits her really well. It's a child size 4 to 7, the sock is. The pair of socks were £1, so the actual jumper costs 50p. So as you can see, this part here is going to be the dress. The top part here forms the sleeves. This bit will be the cuffs. And then this red bit at the bottom, I cut that off. And that's what I've used to make her roll neck. You don't have to make the roll neck part. She can manage perfectly well without it. But I just thought it finished it off nicely. So what you'll need is your sock, some matching thread. So I've got grey and red, and some scissors. That's all you're going to need. You can either sew it by hand or by machine. I would suggest doing it by hand because you need to stretch the fabric as you sew it. Otherwise, with it being stretchy material, if you don't stretch it as you sew it, the thread will break when you're trying to put it on and manoeuvre it around your doll. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is cut off the toe part of the sock. You can see here that there's like a faint line here. I'm going to cut just along that line because this deep red bit is going to be turned under and it's going to form the hem of the skirt. So let's cut that bit off first. And we're going to put that bit to one side and save that to do the roll neck with, if indeed you decide you want to do the roll neck. So that's that. So now the next thing we need to do is turn this bit up. The only trouble with socks is that they are knitted, so they will fray if you're not careful. So I'm going to turn that under like this, all the way around, and I'm going to sew. And as I say, when you're sewing, make sure you stretch the material. Otherwise, if you then stretch the material after you've sewed it, the cotton will break. So I'm going through and I'm sewing on the red, so I'm using my red thread. And I'm just going to do a back stitch around there, around the bottom of this sock. Doesn't have to be fantastic, just a quick stitch will do. And as I say, make sure you stretch your fabric like this. Stretch it a little bit as you're sewing, so that when you're putting it on her, the cotton won't break. We just need to do that all the way around the bottom. Okay, so we've got the bottom sewn. I sewed around the front using red cotton because I sewed along that red stripe, and then I changed the colour of the cotton to grey for the back just so that it matched properly. So that's the hem done for the dress. Now what we need to do is cut the dress across where the shoulders and the neck is going to be. So you can see on my doll that we need to cut it just along where this white spot is here. So I'm going to cut it across the top of that spot there. I'll get my scissors. And this part will form the shoulders and the neck. So this is the hem of the dress. This is going to be the shoulders at the sides here, the neck in the middle, and we're going to cut a little slit down each side to sew the sleeves into. But the first thing we have to do is get rid of this heel at the back. So turn your sock inside out. Pop your heel through. And you can see there's a line across there for the heel. You literally just sew across that line in your matching thread. So we're going to sew across that line there. Just do back stitch across that line. make sure when you finish off your stitching at the end that you do a couple of stitches on top of each other to stop it from coming undone. So 1, 2, through the loop once, through the loop twice, pull it tightly, and that will form a knot and it'll stop your thread from coming undone. So then when we turn it back the right side out, you can see that we've not got that bit, that pouch at the back there. You do have a seam, but that's fine. So to do the sleeves, to insert the sleeves, we need to cut down each side along the seam to where this seam is. So from the top down to that seam, and that's where we're going to insert our sleeves. So get your scissors and literally just cut to where that seam is. So down the side along the seam to that where that seam is that you've just made. 1, and then the other side. 2. Now turn your sock inside out again. And we're going to sew in our sleeves. So this rest of this sock is what's going to form our sleeves, and all we need to do is fold it in half and cut along this seam. So we've folded it in half and we're going to just cut along that seam. Make sure you cut through both pieces of fabric. So you've literally just cut that in half. So the first thing we're going to do is turn your sock inside out and sew along from the cuff to the top, and that will form your sleeve. We need to do that with both of them. Do it in a matching cotton, and here's my matching cotton. Don't forget to tie your knot in the end, otherwise your cotton will just pull through and that's very frustrating. So match up your edges of your cuff and just sew along there. Just back stitch along there. You don't have to worry about this being stretched as you sew, because this bit's not going to be stretched to put on this bit is quite loose on the doll anyway, the sleeve is, so that's fine. Okay, so both sleeves are now finished. I've turned them inside out and I've sewn along here, back stitched all the way along on both of them. The next thing we need to do is make our shoulders. So I'm now going to get my matching thread and sew 1 inch from the edge Make sure you've got your knot in the end. There we go. Just finish that off. So 1 stitch, 2 stitches, through the loop once, through the loop twice, and pull. For different size dolls you can use different size socks, or you could take the side in a little bit, cut it and take it in a little bit if you wanted it to fit your Barbie. I do think this particular size sock would be too big for a Barbie, but I wanted to use a bigger sock to show you how I did it. So now I'm going to match those sides up like this. So we will need to sew to about there. So in with our needle and sew to the edge. Just back stitch. All just back stitch. Get to the end and do your knot. So 1 stitch, 2 stitch, through the loop once, through the loop twice, and pull. Snip that off. So now what we're left with is a Christmas vest. And we need to attach our sleeves onto it like this. So turn your sleeve the right way out, like this. Match your seam to the underside of the doll's arm, to the doll's armpit, and tuck your sleeve inside there like this. Look, tuck it inside there like that and line it up. Make sure your seam is level with the doll, where the doll's armpit is going to be. And then you need to sew your seam into position. You can see, so here's where the doll's armpit's going to be, and I've got that sleeve in there so that you can see that it's inside out, the inside out bit's inside there, right sides together, and I'm going to stitch around here in the matching cotton all the way around to sew it into place, and then repeat on the other side. So I'll get that stitched in. So I've tucked that in there, made sure that the seam was lined up with the underarm of the doll, and I've sewn all around it to hold it in position. Now I'm going to poke it back through so that we've got room to do the other sleeve. So pop that sleeve out. There we are, you can see. So it's inside out, sewn on around there. And we're now going to do the same with the other sleeve. So get your other sleeve. Don't forget to turn it the right way out, because you need the right sides of the fabric facing each other. And then you need it to lie inside the fabric like that, so that you can then sew around that circle. So we're going to tuck it in here like this, and we're going to line it up so that the underarm piece is with the seam of your sleeve, and we're going to sew all around there to hold it in position.
Here we go, again just back stitch all the way around there to hold that sleeve in.
Okay, so that's both sleeves in now. We can actually turn the jumper the right way out. Pop that sleeve through the right way. There we are. How cute! This is what we've got so far. And now's the time you can decide whether you want to leave your neck straight like that. If you decide to leave your neck straight and not put a roll neck on like I have done, all you need to do is tuck this little edge under all the way around and stretch it as you sew, and you'll have just a round neck jumper then. But make sure you stretch it as you sew. If you don't, when you go to put it on your doll's head and you stretch it, the cotton will break and you'll have to do it all over again. So stretch as you sew to do that. I'm going to make this into a roll neck. So to do that, we get our toe part which is here. And what we need to do is cut these triangular edges off. So get your scissors, cut off the little triangle piece at the end. Same on the other side, just cut the little triangle piece off. Then you need to cut along the middle bit here. This is where the toe would have been, right on the edge. Cut along that seam. And then we need to sew our little roll neck together. So right side's facing, do a little seam along this edge here. Okay, so what I've done is just joined those pieces together. That's going to form the neck of your roll neck. So the next thing I need to do is to edge the top of the roll neck. So just do a little turnover and stitch along that top edge there, just holding that down just to neaten it off and stop it from fraying. When you get to the other end, join your seams together and sew along that other seam. Remember, your doll's head has got to fit through here, or your doll's body, however way you put it on. I think I popped mine on from the bottom rather than the top. So stitch that seam up down the side. Make sure when you're sewing across the top that you stretch the fabric as you're sewing it, otherwise it'll just all your stitches will pop undone when you're trying to put it on your doll's head. Here's our little tube that's going to be our collar, our roll neck collar. What we need to do now is attach it to the neck of the jumper and then we're done. So turn your jumper inside out. Make sure you turn your sleeves inside out as well to get those out of the way. Turn your collar, your neck, the right way out. Tuck it inside your neck of your jumper. Match it up so the seams are at the edge where you've done your shoulders, and stretch it into position and sew it as stretched as you can, otherwise you're not going to get your doll's head through there. And then we stitch it all the way around. You can pin it into position if you want to and then stitch, or just stitch, it's up to you. I'm going to just stitch. So very similar to the sleeve, but this time you must stretch it, otherwise your doll's head or feet won't go through the hole. So make sure you keep it stretched as tight as you can, this neck part, as you're sewing it into position, and just stitch it all the way around there. Just back stitch, keep it stretched all along. So I've sewn all the way around that edge there to hold that collar into place. I'm just going to do my last stitch just here, so don't forget to finish it off so that it doesn't come undone. So 1, 2, through the loop once, through the loop twice, pull it tight there. So turn it the right way out and you're done. So now let's find a doll and try it on her, shall we? I've actually got 2 dolls to try it on. I've got a tall Bratz and I've got DJ, who is the doll, my special doll that Dale did for me. So I'm going to try it on DJ first. I'm going to take her glasses off. So here's DJ in it, and actually it does look like a nice cozy winter jumper on her, doesn't it? It could even be a jumper dress. I think if you had some either leggings or even just leg warmers on, that would look great on her, wouldn't it? So it fits DJ fine, it goes on really easily. So now I'm going to try it on a Bratz doll, on a tall Bratz. This is Crystalicious Chloe, and we'll see how she gets on. Right, so it is really, it's too big for Chloe. She's got it on, but if you used a smaller sock, and you could Yeah, if you used a smaller sock, or you could even take the sides in a little bit, it'd be okay, but really it's too big for Chloe, but at least we know that. So I hope that's helpful to someone. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.